Hello there, Pamela Nance here, diet-free weight loss coach, coming to you today with the 5th video in my 6-week Summer of Self-Love series. That's a mouthful. Today, what I want to talk to you about is the concept of knowing what you like or what you want and not being afraid to ask for it. This is huge in the area of self-love because I don't know about you, but for myself and for many of the clients I work with that have extra weight on their bodies, or like myself, I had 60 extra pounds on my body, the main way I was meeting every need was with food. So I'm feeling lonely, trip to the kitchen, feeling mad, stop and get some drive-through food on the way home. I'm feeling bored. I'm sure there's a snack somewhere with my name on it. Don't want to disappoint someone. I'm going to eat whatever they fixed, whether I'm hungry or not. So really tuning in to what it is that you need and what you want, and getting your needs met in a healthy way is huge in the skill of self-love. And I call it a skill because it can be taught, it can be learned. And unfortunately, this is nothing that was in the curriculum of how to raise your children. You know, not in when I was being raised in the 1960s. Not to fault my parents, but I think our society at large doesn't place a lot of importance on educating us how to be self-realized human beings and to honor our needs and our wants, and not in a bratty, like it has to be my way or the highway, but in a way of like, yeah, my needs and wants are important too. And of course, in any family dynamic and in relationships and in culture in general, we will need to compromise. But first, before you can compromise, you really need to know what it is that you need and what you desire and what your wants are. And for a lot of us that have used food as a coping mechanism, this was a message that we got early on, or I should say food as a strategy to meet needs. This was a strategy we learned when we were very young. And so a lot of us do what is called you get to give. So you meet the needs of other people. This is also called being a people pleaser. So if you are a people pleaser, this means that you focus your attention on what other people need or want. These are the type of people, this is the type of practice I was doing in most of my adult relationships with my intimate partners, is I would end up with people that knew what they wanted or had a clear idea, and then I would work to meet those needs. That was my role. That was my role growing up as well. I needed to look outside myself to meet the needs of other people around me, and I ended up doing that as an adult also. So where did that get me? Well, it got me to almost 200 pounds is where it got me, and I'm 5'3", so you can do the math on that. I was only meeting my needs, or a lot of them, with food. And how you might know that this is you is if you carry around a generous heaping of resentment. If resentment is an emotion that you feel fairly frequently, this could be you, because the resentment surfaces when you aren't getting what it is you want and you need. So the exciting news is you can change this pattern. You don't have to keep doing it. So if you've been the people pleaser and if you've walked around with quite a bit of resentment, I'm talking to you. And even if you haven't, you know, getting our needs met is not a skill really either that we were given, or a lot of us weren't given it. I certainly wasn't given it. So just checking in and seeing what you need in the moment and what it is you desire is such a good practice. So I'm going to go through Maslow's hierarchy of needs There are probably other structures, but I feel like Maslow's covers it well. And this is a great place to start checking in. So the first level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs is the physiological needs. This is where I work a lot with my clients that I'm coaching on diet-free weight loss, is to have them start checking in with, am I hungry? So many of us that have used food to meet the majority of our needs, and I'm talking about non-food needs, don't even know when we're hungry. We eat because it's time to eat. We eat because food shows up. We eat because of all of the emotions we don't want to feel. We eat because we don't want to disappoint someone. We eat because we're bored. So start checking in and asking yourself if you're hungry. Are you thirsty? Are you tired? These are all physiological needs that you can check in about to see where you're at on that level. Okay, so then the second hierarchy of Maslow's needs is with safety. Is your environment safe? Is it, clean enough or in your house to be safe? Is your neighborhood safe? Do you have psychological safety? Are you living with someone who's abusing you? I mean, that is something that, you need to prioritize in your life, because if you are living with psychological abuse, you need to get some help. Safety also includes economic safety. Like, are you bringing in enough money to where your needs are covered? Do you have enough money in the bank to where you feel like, you have a nice cushion? If not, this is a place where, it's one of our lower needs. And so this can cause a lot of agitation in your being. And this is something that people end up eating over as well, instead of setting up a strategy to get yourself in an economically safe place. The third level of the hierarchy of needs is in belonging and love. Do you have some beings in your life to love? Do you have some people, maybe some pets? Gosh, even plants. I love my plants. Do you feel love from other people? And do you feel a sense of belonging? And so these are all very important to us as human beings. So these are areas that you can work on and check in with. And if you've been a people pleaser and focused on what other people need, you might not have even asked yourself these questions, or even felt like you were deserving of meeting these needs. So what the practice is then is taking little baby steps. First, starting with your physiological needs, the need for safety, moving into love and belonging. And then the fourth level is the level of esteem. And that's what we're working on right now. I would say self-love and self-esteem go hand in hand. These are feeling like you are a worthy individual, like you genuinely love and appreciate yourself. And it doesn't mean that you're perfect, and it doesn't mean that you don't fuck up sometimes and make mistakes, but it just means that you have this, as Gabor Mate says, I love this, unconditional positive regard for yourself. And then the very top level is the level of self-actualization. And this is where the self-growth happens, your self-expression, your spontaneity. Like, this is the place where when you have all of these other needs satisfied, you are then able to grow and to move into maybe your next iteration of who you are. And maybe you're doing more creative endeavors. And maybe you are really like planning something in your life that is going to bring you such joy. It's a level of mastery, and even just mastery of your life, yourself as a being. So these are the 5 different levels of needs that we have as human beings. And if you were not given the opportunity to learn about these and to be able to verbalize your needs, this is really important and good work to embark upon, because if you don't know what you need or want, then you're not able to go for it. And if you don't think you're worthy of your desires, that's the place where you need to work. That goes into what we talked about last week, which is to clean out the closet of your mind, to look at the messages that you have been given and that you've internalized and that you've been habitually playing in your mind that don't serve you. That don't serve you. And the less you pay attention to them, not that we can, we can't beat them out of us, but the less you pay attention and the more that you start moving into thoughts of, I am worthy. I am a beautiful human being. I matter. I'm important. I love myself. I'm a good person. I get to have what I want to have here on the planet. I get to do what I want to do here on the planet. This is your life. This is your one beautiful incarnation. Many say that we chose to come here. I believe that. I like to believe it because it really adds a level of personal responsibility for my experience here on the planet. Like, yes, we all got dropped into a childhood that had varying levels of dysfunction. We do our work on that. Sure, the patterns and beliefs might keep surfacing throughout the lifetime, but taking distance from them and knowing like, oh yeah, there's that place where I don't feel lovable. Yeah, come here. And I hug myself, come here, and tell myself that I love myself. We all had some level of dysfunction. And I really just feel like it's part of the journey here. I mean, it must be, because that's what's happening. That's what's happening. So the choice point, like Viktor Frankl says in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, is to determine what attitude we want to go through our lives with. Do we want to find meaning in our life, or do we just want to float in a cesspool of worthlessness? I choose to find meaning in my life, and I want to invite you to find meaning as well. And in the end, when we take the last breath, we might get the memo like, we didn't really need to have meaning. But so what? I mean, what makes you feel good? Would you rather believe that there's some grain of, I want to say grain of gold, but that doesn't sound right. Grain of gold? That there's gold, that there's, like whatever we're doing here is like a noble cause, even though it looks like it's all going to hell in a handbasket and there's nothing we can do to stop it. I mean, that could be true. We don't know. But at any rate, that doesn't feel that good, to believe that there's no way to stop it. That's like you're on the roller coaster and the brakes are just completely off. And maybe they are. But at the same time, maybe they're not. Maybe we're going to be able to steer this ship into nirvana, okay? Maybe that is available to us. I mean, look at the beauty on this planet, okay? It's so freaking beautiful. And it's our behaviors, our actions that are fucking it up. But we can change that. And this is why I'm even sitting here talking to you right now, even if it's just one person that watches this, is that if we turn our own compasses toward the direction of love by loving ourselves, filling up our cup of self-love, it's going to spill over into everything, including the planet. So, that's what I got for you today. Start checking in with your needs, your wants, your desires, and know that you can have these things. And really put a pause in. If you have been a people pleaser, You need a people-pleasing pause. The next time someone asks you to do something, you need to pause to check in with yourself and see if that's really what you want to do. And I'm not saying that we're all only going to do exactly what we want to do every single minute of the day. No. But there are many places where we have choice points and we could just pause and really check in with ourselves. Glennon Doyle said she would rather disappoint other people than herself. And I think that's pretty true for most things. I mean, you know, there are some things like, okay, your spouse is having a medical emergency and you were sitting down to watch the latest episode of, I don't know, Game of Thrones on Netflix or wherever. You know, clearly you wanted to watch the Game of Thrones, but you're going to take your spouse to the hospital. You know what I mean? Like, there's moments when you really have to put someone else's needs first. But for so much of it, we're just doing it out of this place of where we're hoping if we meet their needs, they'll meet our needs. And we just need to get really honest about what it is that we need and be more direct in getting those needs met. So I said I was going to finish. Now I am really finished. I've got one more video for you from the 6-week series of Summer Self-Love. Have a beautiful week practicing, and just know that the more you shine the light of attention and compassion and patience and curiosity on yourself, the brighter light you're going to have to shine for everyone else. Okay, take care.